Children, hope all of you did your previous videos work and have completed your assignment. Today, I would like to tell you about the topic, did women have a revolution? Here we are speaking of the French women. Why specifically women have a revolution? Here, we have to understand one thing. The main reason behind this question is, was it the 1791 constitution in which only men of 25 years, and that too the men who paid a high tax, I mean to say at least 3 days labor's wages money as a tax, they were given a right to vote. And when it came to the Jacobin government, there all men 21 years and above, they were given a right to vote, but never women. Women never had a right to vote. That is why they are asking, really did these women get involved into the revolution? If we see this, from the very beginning of the French Revolution, French women took a very active part in the French Revolution. Why they took such an active part is because they wanted to see that if the women are involved in the revolution, maybe the revolutionary government will be very much impressed, and maybe they will try to include these women also and see to that these women are also enjoying some privileges. For that reason, they got involved into the revolution. And here, another part. If you remember, I already told you that the war that was declared by the National Assembly in 1791, all the able, strong men were put into war. They went in there voluntarily. No one pushed them. But they saw this as a war against the faulty the faulty ruling system. So they went into war. Then all the women I told you had to come onto the streets, earn a living, and take care of the families. Now these women, what all works they had to do? They started working. They started working as seamstresses. What is the meaning of seamstress? It is the people who earn a living by sewing. They are called seamstresses. So these women, what we can say today is tailors. The other word today we can use is tailors. So these women worked as tailors, or else they worked as laundresses, means washerwomen. They sold flowers, fruits, vegetables on the streets, and sometimes they even worked in the wealthier women's or households as servants. So their condition was really very hard, because even after doing all this work, they had to return home, take care of their children, and also see that all the household work is done by them. Here I have one picture showing a French woman working as a laundress. Most of the French women in those days did not have access to education. And also they did not get any job training. So they did not get any good jobs. So the only work that they could do is all these very low graded works. Then who could get educated? It was only the daughters of nobles, or else there is the middle class, wealthier middle class, even in the third estate. Their daughters could go to convents and they could get educated. But immediately after education, the parents used to get those women married immediately. So the condition, if you see over here, it was really stressing. The women were not given any freedom. And in order to discuss all these points, they realized that their condition is not at all up to the mark, or they are not even leading a decent life. So to discuss all these things, women also started forming some clubs, and those clubs were called the Women Jacobin clubs. All together in France, there were approximately 60 clubs. Out of those 60 clubs, main two clubs, the Society of Revolutionary and Republican Women. These were two Jacobin women clubs that were, what we can say, had a very great name. And they were really influential. So, what they could do, what could these women Jacobin clubs do? First thing, they demanded for the women, what we can say, right to vote. They realized that women also need some political rights. Why they wanted political rights? Only when women will be able to enter into politics, she will be able to represent the problem of women in a proper manner. Because the other groups cannot understand the problems of women and they will not be able to do justice to them. That is the reason why women stressed for political importance, political rights equal to men. And women were very much disappointed because in the, I told you, 1791 National Assembly, they were denied a right to vote. In the convention, do you remember convention? I said the newly elected assembly was called the convention under the republic. And this convention also denied women a right to vote. Then also they were not given a right to vote. So they were very much distressed. They did not like this condition. So what they did is they went on demanding for the right to vote. First, they wanted to have a right to vote. Then they wanted to have a right to elect themselves into the assembly also. Means they wanted to have a political life. They wanted to include themselves into the political affairs of France. So for this, they wanted to have a particular seats reserved for them, or they wanted to have some involvements into the government. Here I have one picture showing how women had to struggle to get into the government. Women, it seems the picture shows men pulling them back, but women struggling to get into that, what we can say, assembly or the government. Efforts of women did not go in vain. In the early years, the revolutionary government also introduced some new laws. These laws and these rules helped the women. What were some of these laws and rules? First thing, they have introduced school education. Okay, they have first introduced some schools, state schools. And they made education for girls, women, compulsory. So, they have established some schools first and saw that all girl children got education. Next thing, they also made marriages legal. How legal? According to the choice of the woman. No more fathers could not pressurize them, or they could not compel the girls to get married. Now it had to be agreement. It was like a legal agreement, and this marriage had to be registered under civil law. So what happened is women got a chance of choosing their partner. So more and more freedom. Later on, one more thing. Divorce also was made legal. Means if the woman doesn't like her partner, she can apply for divorce. In the olden days, it was only men who could apply in that manner. But now, men and women, anyone who is not satisfied can apply for divorce. So finally, if we see, women were having an overall development, overall betterment. And to add to this, they also were given a chance of getting very good job training also. So that they could go for better jobs. They could become artists, they could become small business people also. So this gave more and more freedom to women. So women struggle it was always expecting political rights. But if we see, when we discuss about the 1791, the constitution which was made, it gave only rights to men to cast a vote. 1792, the convention, here it was the National Assembly in 1791, 1792 the convention, both of them denied women a right to vote. Of course, later on it went on like this. The women started struggling, and the Jacobin government, the convention, under the convention, the Jacobin government really pressurized and troubled women to a very, very bad extent. How it was, Jacobin clubs were completely what we can say made illegal. And the Jacobin government also introduced some laws ordering the closure of all the women's clubs. Not only this, whenever they were having any political activities or meetings also, they started taking very bad action over them. So many prominent women who were participating in these political meetings or conducting some clubs, all of them were arrested. And they were later on executed also, means killed. In this contest, I would like to specify one very active women revolutionary, and she is Olympe de Gouges. She is Olympe de Gouges. See, what is the importance of this lady is, she was the person who established a very prominent revolutionary club. And not only this, the 1791 constitution, it had one declaration. It was called the Declaration of Men and Citizen. Rights of Man and Citizen. Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen. Later on, when this lady Olympe de Gouges came over and she fought for a separate declaration. She called it, or she named it, the Declaration of Rights of Women and Citizen. So this she introduced in 1791. And she submitted this declaration to the Queen. She addressed it to the Queen and wanted to see that the members of the National Assembly also agree to it. She demanded for it. 1793. What happened was, this Olympe de Gouges criticized the Jacobin government. For this, she was severely punished. How she was punished is, she was first arrested, tried in the National Convention, the new government, and finally she was executed for the charge of treason. So this was the pressure that the Jacobin government also, Jacobin government was the people's government, the poor people's government. Even such a government also created this trouble to the women. So this is how women were treated in the olden days, even in France, even in some of the most advanced countries also. So women's movements, all these, actually the women, French women, how they fought and how they led the movement. Finally, how they wanted to, 200 long years they had to struggle. They had to struggle for 200 years to attain this right to vote. And their effort did not go in vain. All the other countries also, they got inspired by the movement. It was the international suffrage movement. Means internationally, all women need a right to vote. It is called the international suffrage movement. So through this, these French women also, their struggle went on as a wave to all other countries. Finally, It was in 1946. 1946 that the women in France got a right to vote. Right to vote. When was it? It was in 1946. I have a picture of Olympie de Gouges, and also the next picture is about some of her basic rights that she specified in her Declaration of Rights of Women and Citizens. Now I would like to explain to you the abolition of slavery. What is this abolition of slavery? What is the system of slavery? Which countries conducted the trade in slavery? All these things we will be covering under this topic. First, one of the most important revolutionary social reform that the government, Jacobin government, brought about was the abolition of slavery. Here, if you see, the colonies, Caribbean had so many, I think all of you know the Caribbean islands. Okay, here the Caribbean islands mainly had very important islands. The names are Martinique, Guadeloupe and San Domingo. I'll show you a picture of these three islands, small islands in the Caribbean islands group. Importance of these Caribbean islands. Here I have to tell you that the Caribbean islands have been very important suppliers of various commodities like tobacco, indigo, sugar and coffee. All the European countries had, the communities required all these commodities. And one more important thing is the major leading forces, England, France and Netherlands. These were in those days the leading forces, the countries that had these colonies arranged over in the Caribbean islands. So here the Europeans, all of them, they were not at all interested to go over to the Caribbean islands and work over there. They were reluctant. So where do these country people get the workers from? For this, they needed the slaves. So they needed the laborers. Those laborers, they thought that they need from a very backward place. So they tried to have a trade in slaves. It was called the triangular slave trade. Why was it called the triangular slave trade? Was because three countries were involved in this slave trade. What were those three countries? It was Europe, Africa and the Americas. Americas here includes North America, South America and the Caribbean islands. All these, okay. So here, how this slave trade took place. In France, there were two main slave trading ports, and they were Nantes and Bordeaux. Here I will show you a map which is specifying these two ports, Nantes and Bordeaux, so that you will be able to understand how the slave trade was continued. Slave trade, it began in the 17th century. And this slave trade, how was it done is, from the ports Nantes and Bordeaux, French sailors, they sailed to Africa. There they packed in all these slaves. How they could get the slaves is, they bought these slaves from the local chieftains. So these all people, the slaves were packed, sacked into the ships, and they were sent to the Caribbean islands. It took a 3-month. It was a 3-month sailing through the ocean. So Atlantic Ocean, they had to pass through the Atlantic Ocean to go to the plantations over there. Here this exploitation of the slaves was really horrible. It was only because of that exploitation that Europe could meet the demand of Europeans' sugar, coffee, indigo demand. So slowly what happened? These port cities of Bordeaux and Nantes became extremely rich, prosperous because of the slave trade. Throughout the 18th century, there was very little criticism of this slave trade because they took it as a natural, or what we can say, the right of the French to earn more and more and to become a very economically strong, that this slavery is continued. So they just carried it on. But the National Assembly, which was brought into power in the 1791, it conducted elongated long debates on the bad effects of slavery. But because they felt that rights of man are being exploited because of slavery. But of course, they wanted to abolish this, and they even specified that it should be abolished because rights of man, they wanted it to be continued in the colonies wherever the French are ruling also. So in the Caribbean, French are ruling, they have their colonies, so they wanted slave trade to be abolished. But again, they did not make it a big issue. They did not make it legal because they were having the fear that the big business people will become or will be against them. So they were just keeping quiet. But later on what happened? The convention, the 1792, when the convention was arranged, the convention took up steps. In 1794, the convention legislated, it made it a law that all slaves should be free. Wherever the French are ruling or having their colonies, all the slaves should be free. But this was for a very short term that slavery was abolished. It was just for 10 years. But immediately again, as I told you, Napoleon Bonaparte came back to power and he again started slave trade because he took it as a what we can say as a right of France's to gain more and more economical. Finally, slavery was abolished in the French colonies in 1848. So 1848, slavery was abolished. The next topic that we are going to discuss is the revolution and everyday life. What does this mean is, what is the effect of the revolution on the everyday life of the citizens? Okay, can politics change the what we say, the language, the dresses that people wear, or the books they read? Can any revolution or a government change these? We think it is not possible. But after 1789, in France, there were so many changes in the lives of men, women and children also. What were the various changes is, the revolutionary government passed many laws. And these laws really transferred the ideals of liberty and equality. One important law that was introduced after the storming of the prison of Bastille. We already discussed in the beginning of the lesson that 1789 the prison of Bastille was stormed, and that was the actual beginning of the French Revolution. So here what happened after this is, there was a very important law that was introduced, and that was the abolition of censorship. So, the abolition of censorship. What does this mean? Censorship, all of you know, a control over press, media or whatever it is, the movies and all. So, Until the prison of Bastille was stormed and the French Revolution broke out, this government, the monarch Louis XVI and all, they had a strict, very firm control over the press. They were not allowed to print whatever they wanted in the old regime. Books, newspapers, plays, all these had to pass through the censorship, and then only they could be passed on to the public. So now what happened over here after 1789 is the censorship was abolished. This meant that newspapers, pamphlets, books and printed pictures also flooded the towns of France. So people were having more and more idea about what is happening around. What are the various things? What are the ideas of various philosophers? What are the demands of the Jacobin clubs? What are women expecting from the people or from the government? And this also meant one more freedom, and it was the opposing freedom. If we have anything, ideas that are against the system, this what we can say freedom of speech, they called this, or they specified, grouped this abolition of censorship as a freedom of speech. So according to this, they could even express their opposing views also. This meant lots of freedom for the people. And also these plays, songs, festive processions and all these things that were continuing, this attracted large number of people. So people had lots of ideas about what is justice, what is liberty, what are the other people enjoying, why can't we also have it. So there was a good exchange of ideas, and also they could get very good ideas about the learned people. Not only the learned, the different thinkers, the philosophers, all of them made the newspapers and pamphlets, all made all their ideals public. So this was one great change that was brought into every person's life because of the revolution. Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself as the Emperor of France in 1804, and later on he started conquering the neighboring European countries also. And there, wherever there is a dynastical succession or where there is a monarch ruling over there, he dismissed all of them and he placed his own family members as the rulers over there. So all the people were his own people, ruling people were his own people. Napoleon here was seen as a modernizer. Why was he seen as a modernizer by the people was because of the various laws that he introduced. He introduced some laws like protection of private property. Until then, people were not allowed to have any private property. But now, after Napoleon came into power, he introduced a law guaranteeing the private protection of private property, and also uniform system of weights, the decimal system. All these things he has introduced. So what happened? People all were happy because uniform weights and all meant good business, standardized business. So people saw him as a modernizer. But later on, as the time passed by, people realized that this person, instead of being a liberator, now is turning into an invader. From a liberator to an invader, because his army was really attacking all the areas over neighboring areas, and he was conquering all the places. Finally, he was defeated in one battle, and it is the Battle of Waterloo. This happened in 1815. The Battle of Waterloo was the closure or the end of Napoleon's rule. I have a picture of the Battle of Waterloo. It can be inferred that the French Revolution has been a most important legacy carrying forward the ideals of liberty and democratic rights. The French Revolution carried on these main ideas of liberty and democratic rights to the whole world. All the other countries, mainly in the 19th century, whole of Europe was influenced or really inspired by the ideals of this French Revolution. And not only that, wherever they had these colonies, all of those people also started having the influence of these liberty and democratic rights that the French people have attained. Finally, if we see the closure, even our Indians also were influenced by the French Revolution. I would like to specify two: Tipu Sultan and Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Tipu Sultan and Raja Ram Mohan Roy were two main Indians who were influenced by the French Revolution. So we can finally conclude saying that French Revolution has been a very good influential revolutionary movement that really influenced the whole of the world. Thank you.